Let's dive into one of the craziest rumors out there, a Julio Jones trade. This is unusual. Multiple reports say that the Falcons are listening to trade offers. Now, this comes from both Peter King and Albert Breer, both dropping Monday morning, which rather unusual. Now, there are some buts involved here, the biggest of which, they can't actually trade him until after June 1st. If they did that, there would be an extra $17 million in dead cap space that goes onto their cap hit beyond what they're already paying him. So you're talking about $40 million you're eating this year. It makes no sense to do it when you're allegedly trying to make your cap look a little bit better. Now, if they wait until after June 1st, they save about $20 million over 2 years. If a team acquires him, well, it's very appealing. About $15.3 million, about $11.5 the next 2 years. Now, I will make note, there is a very high probability that if a team were to trade for Julio Jones, they would then immediately give him a large new contract because that's how things normally work. So it's very team-friendly now. I bet he would ask for a little bit more money. Now, there were 4 teams mentioned in Peter King's article on this side of things. The Las Vegas Raiders as one, the New England Patriots, the Tennessee Titans, and the Baltimore Ravens, which is interesting to me. All 4 teams could use some type of receiver help, whether it be a big one or a smaller one. It does make some sense there. Albert Breer said maybe a second-round pick, or I flipped that over. Albert Breer said a first-round pick. Peter King said a second-rounder. I don't think the Falcons are going to sell Julio Jones on the cheap. That does not make any sense to me whatsoever. But this question is going to be the pinned comment on today's video. Do you think the Falcons will actually trade away Julio Jones later on this offseason? Get your votes in. Type T for they'll trade him, or type K for you'll think they'll keep him. Now, when healthy, there's no doubt about it, Julio Jones has been one of the premier playmakers in the NFL. Now, he missed more time this year, only played in 9 games, a lot relative to his previous injury history. Fantasy owners know this quite well, though. Julio Jones always has something going on. There's always some minor injury that makes him questionable early in the week, and then he plays through it, and then he ends up balling out anyway. The age is a bit of a red flag, but the height, weight, speed prospect is still there. He is still, as far as I'm concerned, one of the best players in the NFL. Now, if the Falcons were to move Julio, I would argue immediately receiver becomes one of their biggest needs. You're probably going to want to pay Calvin Ridley anyway. That's fine. Russell Gage has flashed. I actually kind of like him quite a bit on that front. But the rest of the depth is maybe Zacchaeus, Christian Blake, Greg Dortch. I think Cordero Patterson is actually going to play more of a running back role for this team. Either way, you trade away Julio Jones, whatever asset you're getting back, you're probably going to spend it on another receiver because you have to have better playmakers for Matt Ryan, or even if you draft somebody in round 1 at the quarterback spot. So because of that, I fully expect a significantly high asking price for Julio Jones. Not the DeAndre Hopkins trade. I think they might shoot more for the Stephon Diggs trade. So I might regret asking you guys this, but this is your opportunity. In the comments section, I want you guys to flood it with various Julio Jones trade ideas. I know how many non-Falcons fans want him, so let me know if you're not an Atlanta fan. If you are a Falcons fan, let me know what you would require in exchange back. I think we'll see some pretty big differences between the various fan bases on that one. More Atlanta Falcons rumors here. What are they going to do with the number 4 overall pick? I thought this was worth mentioning because The Athletic put out their final Falcons mock draft, and they had Justin Fields as the pick at number 4 overall. Now, as I'm sure many of you guys know, Justin Fields originally hails from Georgia, and it would be a homecoming of sorts, and the article did mention that pretty heavily. I think there is a very good chance, in fact, I'd say it's much more likely than not, that Fields is on the board for Atlanta at number 4 overall, which, look, I got Justin Fields as my number 2 quarterback in this year's class. So if you're picking top 4 and you can get the number 2 quarterback as the 4th quarterback taken, taken, given Matt Ryan is aging, that is highly appealing to me. And we've reached the point in the Justin Fields discourse that I wonder, what am I missing here? Because I've studied him plenty in depth, and I know other smart draft media analysts who have as well, and the general conclusion I get from myself and other smart people is that Justin Fields is a really good football player, and everything backs that up in terms of the accuracy, the athletic ability, the arm strength. He does hold the ball too long, and I've also seen stuff just literally get made up about him. The 7 passes off his first read, total BS. Like that is not accurate. So if I'm the Falcons and Justin Fields is there at number 4 overall, I'm strongly considering it at that point. In the end, for Atlanta, I'm still stuck with these same 3 options. Option number 1, these are not ranked, these are just the order I'm going in here. Take a quarterback. Whether it's Lance or Fields, I would advise not Mac Jones if he gets past San Francisco at number 3. But you're picking top 4. If you can set your franchise up for the next 10 years beyond what you get from Matt Ryan, that's difficult to actually turn down. If a team comes calling, maybe Denver, New England, does Chicago get super desperate? Trade down. If you can get a haul and a team pays that quarterback tax, if you will, to come up and take your pick from you, you can move down and get a bunch of extra players in this year's draft and probably future drafts as well. That's a good way to start a rebuild for a defense that really needs it. Or if you want to go with who I think is their best player on their board, that is just simply drafting Kyle Pitts. So I think Atlanta, they're kind of down to those 3 options. So the players then, are in terms of no trade, are probably Trey Lance, Justin Fields, or Kyle Pitts. So assuming the Falcons do not trade down, because right now I'd bet that they don't, who will they take? What player will they draft if they stay at the number 4 overall spot? Is it Kyle Pitts, Justin Fields, Trey Lance, somebody else? Make your predictions right now for me in the comments section. I do want to make one more thing clear here before we end our Falcons talk. Namely, even if they don't take a quarterback at number 4, I would bet all of my money that at some point in this year's draft, the Falcons take a quarterback. Maybe it's a Kellen Mond or a Davis Mills in like round 3, or a Kyle Trask or a Jamie Newman, or hell, even an Ian Book later on. The Falcons don't have anybody on their roster right now beyond Matt Ryan. So purely from just filling out your roster, from finding more depth on your football team, if you are the Falcons, you have to add another quarterback in this year's draft, or I guess technically go sign somebody too, but entering the draft with just really the one quarterback on your team, that's a pretty good indication that at some point Atlanta will take a quarterback in this year's draft.